And welcome to No Summary Required Podcast, a podcast where we talk about nothing. And now, welcome your trio of hosts, starting with Romina with the good hair, Audrey the Hut, and of course, your dark lord of the interwebs, Roberto Blake, master of all things RGB. Welcome to the No Summary Required Podcast, filmed in front of a live YouTube audience weekly at 7 p.m. Thursdays Eastern Standard Time. Please like, subscribe, review, all the things.
Roberto, I got a bone to pick with you.
Oh?
Did you just give yourself 2 nicknames? Just one really long nickname? Is that what that was?
Something like that. The one thing I will say is if I'm going to monitor the audio, it might be for the ambient background music.
Quick question though.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I should do this live, but are your headphones supposed to look like that, or do you need to clean them?
No, this is the actual. Wow. No, this is the actual like color of the headphones.
Oh, I get it because it's like suede, kind of like.
Yeah. No, it's textured. Yeah, it's textured. Yeah, no, it's a textured suede, and they're very comfortable over the ear headphones. These are DT 7070 Pros, 250 ohm.
I take it back, man. I take it back.
Yeah. And they also do match my monochrome aesthetic. So
yeah, you're living the luxury life. I get it. No, that's cool. Yeah. Now when you held it up to the camera, and I actually saw the texture right away. But yeah, from like far away, I was like, yo, like it looks like maybe you might want to like fight a little bit, but
yeah. How's the background music coming through for you guys?
It's nice.
Yeah, I hear. Oh, I hear. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and is it good to mix with our audio volume? Is it like,
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of sounds like we've got music playing.
Like we got elevator music in the background. Yeah,
it does sound like elevator music.
Yeah, no, that's my relaxing lo-fi tunes. Yeah.
Audrey, is that a
no?
Okay.
Oh my God, that's what the hell, Audrey?
All right, for the listeners, Audrey has a baby doll.
I did not take that long.
Audrey's got some Night of the Living Doll action going on.
Its face is missing.
Yeah, no, that's truly terrifying. That's disturbing.
You guys want to guess why?
Did you cut out its face? Did you do this?
Unfortunately, it was me.
Unfortunately, I bet you enjoyed it.
Jesus Christ, Audrey.
I realized as soon as the knife, I was like, this is kind of messed up. But
have we taken a sociopath test between us? Is that an episode we haven't done yet?
Oh yeah, that's 100%.
Guess like why?
Audrey got 100%.
Wait, ready? Watch.
Maybe have holes in the back of its head.
Oh, I see what you were trying to go for. You're trying to, but yeah, I mean, it works better with a GoPro, I think. But yeah.
Right.
But you're trying to basically turn it into like a nanny cam. I understand now.
I'm basically making fun of people. There's like a trend right now going around where people are making pinhole cameras out of random objects, and this is for my intro. It's just to make fun of them.
Well, that's
I see.
It's still slightly frightening, but I'll excuse it.
TikTok challenges, man, I swear.
It is a little terrifying.
TikTok must be stopped.
I completely agree.
TikTok must be stopped.
Speaking of TikTok, what's this? You guys sent me a video.
Hank Green, TikTok sucks.
I ain't got time for that. I mean,
it's a good video. No, it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's really.
I get it. I understand, Roberto, but it's 25 minutes of my life that
you can watch it in like 2 times speed, and it.
You want the cliff notes? You want the cliff notes?
No, I want the cliff.
All right, you want the cliff notes. Hank goes through and compares like TikTok and to the history of YouTube and talks about the monetization. So a lot of this for you is actually history and recap, because he talks about YouTube first starting the partner program and why it was good, why it worked. Then he goes into the adpocalypse, and then he compares old YouTube and random people and virality and those moments to TikTok and the resurgence of that. He talks a little bit about Vine and that era of content. He talks about the accessibility of making content as a TikTok creator versus a YouTuber now versus a YouTuber in like 2006 through 2009, the era he came up in. And then he talks about comparing the monetization in the creator fund and about the concept of creator equity. And so basically, as you know, the TikTok creator fund sits at a static 200 million no matter what. What I like is Hank kept breaking down the numbers. He also was transparent about how much he earns on TikTok per 1,000 views or something like that. And he said basically he used to make 5 cents per 1,000 views, and now it's closer to 2 cents. And he explains why. And it's because as TikTok keeps increasing revenue, having more generations of creators getting more views, beating YouTube and watch time, doing all these things, TikTok is succeeding. It's going up and up and up. But the amount of money that it splits between all the top performing creators by their views stays the same, which means that you have more and more people competing for the same amount of money, which means the amount of money that's distributed to each of them, no matter how well they do, every view is worth less. Since every view is worth less, since it's more views, but the amount of money isn't changing, and TikTok getting more views, though, does mean TikTok makes more money, but doesn't pay creators more money. As TikTok wins, creators lose. That's the math, because it's not YouTube. YouTube's success and creator success is tied together because we get a percentage. We get a percentage, and we get the more generous lion's share of that percentage in every single scenario. If YouTube wins, creators win. If TikTok wins, creators lose.
Yeah. I mean, he was also
how's
saying...
How's that for Spark Notes, by the way? Audrey, how's that for
That
Spark
was good.
Notes?
I think also when he was talking about what creators can do about it, or what he thought, historically what happens when creators basically try and speak up for more monetization and how it doesn't really work, basically. Where it has to be kind of an all different, what was he saying? There's 3 different groups. There's the creators, the viewers, and then the middle people kind of have to all agree.
The advertisers, the middlemen, the businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's hard to happen.
But YouTube is an example of where it's basically happened. Advertisers want access to consumers. Creators want access and attention to consumers. And consumers want content. And so consumers understand that getting that content means putting up with the advertisers that pay to subsidize that content being made by creators, so creators can make things not at a loss. And that's the balance and the accord that we've managed to strike. With YouTube, however, the creator equity that we have, aka we get 55%. I've seen absurd suggestions of it should be 70%. It's no, it's great that we get 55. There's almost nothing more generous than that. And to be honest with you, if anything was more generous than that, I'd start to get sketched out and think it's a scam. So 55% is fine. It's more than fine. It's fair. And so, because we're doing zero upfront in terms of the infrastructure, going out and getting the advertisers. To be honest, we are not lifting our weight in terms of that 55%, not even as a community. We are not contributing 55% here, but we're getting 55%. And I'm okay with that. So there's, and by the way, the largest creators in YouTube, as you guys already know this, the largest creators subsidize the rest of us because we aren't even covering our own hosting fees for all of our uploads. You guys know that. Uploads, you guys both know.
Yeah.
We were talking about hard drives. We're talking about hard drives. You see how expensive hard drives is? Just think about hosting on the web. Yeah. The storage for our stuff is too expensive.
Yeah. I mean, related to adding on to that, if you think about the number of uploads that people who have less than 50,000 subscribers, it's nowhere comparable to someone who has more than that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Roberto, you're kind of the exception to the rule, I feel in the sense that you actually, are trying, you actually consistently try to upload more than what the average is for someone that's in your subscriber tier.
Yes.
Because for the most part, I mean, the bigger their subscriber count, the number of uploads decreases. Like
no, with like exceptions of me and like PewDiePie or anyone who's like a daily news channel, those are like the only exceptions. But you're right. The rest of it, it's like your Mark Robers, your Mr. Beast, it's big, viral, massive.
And even the travel, like the within the travel niche, like the people that I started with, like as their subscriber counts grew, like because they were doing daily vlogging as they were traveling.
Then they started going to cinematic big content,
and now they're they do maybe like once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks.
I don't believe in the quality over quantity. I think people should be consistent. I mean, Audrey, we know you're on the opposite side of that, but you're also trying to make a different style of content. You want to do projects. I'm saying that there are people who maybe they never need, their audience never asks them to do projects, and they don't like, you know what I'm saying? I think that the problem is people think I'm a big YouTuber, or if I want to be a big YouTuber, I have to do projects. I'm trying to go the opposite route, especially as YouTube becomes TV. Look, there are TV shows that you watch Monday through Friday, and there are TV shows that are a Netflix drop of 9 episodes in a season or 6 episodes in a season. And I'm more of the like,
you obviously have high quality content, Roberto.
Yeah,
I mean, like
high enough. Yeah,
you care about high quality. You also have equipment that can, I mean, you just turn it on and.
Like, I want to be high quality.
Settings wrong, it looks good, right?
Yeah, no, I want to be high quality in the way that news channels and soap operas are high quality, but they show up every day. But they show up and work every day. I want to show up and work every day.
And your content, Roberto, you can correct me if I'm wrong in thinking.
No, go ahead.
But I feel like in the same sense that, so this is something that Casey said like forever ago, which was, it was like a whole thing where he talked about his lens cap, and he's like, I don't use my lens cap because it's an obstacle between me and creating content.
Yes.
For you, right.
Yes. I don't use my lens caps either, as you well know.
Yeah. So I think that for you, it's if having high quality makes you create less content, then that is an obstacle for you to get your information and your knowledge that you want to get for people so that they're able to have that knowledge, right?
Content that relies on somebody following me with a camera is a barrier. If I literally can't have that person practically live with me or live at the office, and I work with my family, so there may be an option for some of that. But if what people then always expect is that my content is only good or it's only acceptable if someone's following me around with a camera.
For a second, I thought you were going to say that your family was an obstacle.
No, quite the opposite, actually. Like in a way. If someone following me around with a camera is what's expected now, and then my content isn't good anymore, if it's not that becomes a barrier to me making anything.
You and putting yourself out there. Yeah,
exactly. And I'm like, nope. If let me switch up the music here for a second. And so
I think it happens the same way when you're doing continuous content as well. Like, for example, like I'm just going to toss out as an example, like in Audrey's case, and I'm not saying that it's her case specifically, but just saying like somebody like her might find that doing content like, every single day might be an obstacle because she's focused on quality, right?
Yeah.
Like it would be an obstacle for her because there's less time to work on a project, right?
Yeah. And Audrey's a filmmaker. A filmmaker should think quality over quantity. Yeah. But I'm not a filmmaker. I'm a teacher.
We're talking about the girl who has a doll
for a pinhole camera. Like Audrey is like I'll give you guys another example. Like, so you
need to
I should just leave this permanently.
I don't like it anymore.
But
guys, you know what? You were wondering what to put on your wall, Audrey. Now that baby has holes on the back of its head, you could just hang it on.
Nail it to the wall.
Yeah, no,
that's a little like haunted house vibe.
But here's what
that's artsy.
Exactly. So what you do is you paint it. So just like block that, like just.
Oh no, that's kind of interesting. Like I like weird stuff, so like that could be kind of weird and cool. It's like there's no way someone walks in and that's not a conversation that's had.
Yeah, it's for sure a conversation.
But it's a conversation she wants to have.
It's a conversation we want to have all the time.
That's that's something to consider.
Immediately are concerned.
Like no, it's like
I already said I'm gonna put this around our apartment and random places to scare my roommates.
I love it. To be honest with you, I love it too.
You could leave it inside of the shower. Like just have it like sitting in the bathtub. Or like
I have an example for you guys. It's all right. So I have a primary example. I'm building my studio in my basement right now, and part of it is to make it easier for me to create. And I was definitely inspired by Marquez, MKBHD, because like what I've set up in the basement, and you guys will get to see this, is I've set up, like I used to have this in my other basement, my old house, but it wasn't nearly as finished or complete or done as. So I have a backdrop set up so that I can do photo shoots, or I could talk against a clean colored background down there as long as I'm mic'd up. But I have a backdrop there, and it's my thumbnail backdrop. It's the, take pictures here and then Photoshop myself out, and there you go, right? So I have a place to shoot my photography, my headshots, my thumbnails, glamour, anything. But also I'm putting a cart with wheels down there, and I can shoot product photography on it, or I can shoot overhead on it, and it has wheels, so I can move it anywhere in the studio. All of my light fixtures are now on wheels. There's not a barrier to creating and setting up lights creatively anymore. There's a light stand that's also going to be a light stand where I'm going to mount one of these cameras and a Atomos Ninja on it to see myself, but also to record, and a microphone boom arm and all this stuff. I actually have to unpack all these components and springs and clamps and stuff to do this, but it's like, okay, this is now going to be a setup wherein I have the ability to wheel this around the basement studio. And then I can just make anytime, anywhere in the studio that's appropriate, go to the location, and it's boom. No setting up the tripod, getting this or getting the angles right. Like, nope. It's like, here's a big old light box from Aperture on wheels with a microphone and a camera at all times, just ready and raring to go.
Yeah. It's just to like just have it there, have it set up, and then whenever you want to do the thing, all you have to do is like press
so I can always shoot video. I always have a backdrop to shoot photos, thumbnails, anything. And then I also have an easy way to go, okay, time for a top down or a product shot, and I can make the product set on this cart, and the things that I need are on the cart to make the set. What I need is, because it's a Husky workbench on wheels, so it means the drawers have things. It has all these things. I was like, all right, everything I need to make a flat lay or an overhead shot is there right then and there to be made. There are industrial shelves. Everything I need to create is in plain sight on these industrial shelves. And I have FlexiSpot sending me a bamboo standing desk for down there for the aesthetic. And what my plan is to put an Elgato Thunderbolt dock down there, and these two monitors I already bought from LG, these two widescreen monitors, and it's to take my tablet down there and to know that, okay, I have literally an art studio that's also a streaming desk. So I have a streaming art desk, so I can do art streams down there if I want. That's probably what my Twitch channel will be, is Roberto Does Art or whatever. It's like my Twitch will be more me doing art streams or doing cool little unboxings or doing stuff down there in my studio. But it also is cool that, all right, for that, I could be live streaming or making stuff from that studio set in the basement with all the cool things that are down there and the industrial warehouse look, the artsy vibe. But what it is I wanted Studio B to be, I have no barriers to creating. Lights are on wheels. Everything is down here. All my tools are on my shelf. All my paints are on my shelf. All my stuff. To be honest, I was inspired by two people specifically. Casey Neistat with his weirdly functional office and all of his hand tools and paints and handcraft stuff, and Marquez with, I have a dedicated space for everything I want to make. No friction between me and creativity anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of like minority mindset. Yeah, I mean, he's just has his like studio set up with his little it's not a whiteboard, it's just like the giant
dry erase board.
No, it's like a giant writing pad. It's not.
Okay. Oh yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah, like the presentation, like
giant papers, whatever. Like going to preschool.
Yeah. Oh
yeah,
God,
and he just has it set up every single one of his videos. He's like, like this is it. This is like super basic. But I mean, you don't watch his videos for like, artistic presentation of like, what camera he's using or anything. You watch it because you want to know what he's saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that kind of thing is good to think about, like with the kind of content that you make, Roberto. I think that is, and then that's not to say that there isn't room for creativity, but it just means that it actually frees up your time in order to be more creative.
I can be more creative.
You have a system that's already set up.
I actually tweeted about this. I want to focus on like the planning and writing of everything I do more. Cause like now I've been writing this book, right? I'm like, and you guys have seen it. I'm a writer. Like I'm actually good at it. Like I want to focus more on writing and my outlines. Cause I don't necessarily write scripts for my videos, except I'm going to start scripting my YouTube shorts to make those. But that the ones aren't just cut ups of recaps.
You do outlines for your videos though, right? Like not outlines, but like bullet points, right?
I do bullet point outlines.
Like your notes.
Right. I write bullet point outlines. I write the hooks as scripts though. I do write the hooks as scripts. Sometimes I'll write the intro as a script.
Yeah.
And I write somewhat a loose script for the sponsored ad reads. Eventually, I'm going to film stuff for that, maybe even downstairs, and like actually kind of do a scripted almost skit for my ad reads from now on, kind of like Prosser does, John Prosser.
Yeah.
And I'm going to skit and script my ad reads, and then they'll just be inserts into my videos, especially since I always have the same sponsors now.
Yeah.
So, yay for contracts.
I will say that having this the scripts, it's really helpful when you're outsourcing your editors. I found, so a lot of my content is very much like on the fly when I'm traveling, but when I'm doing like talking head stuff in just sitting in front of my desk, I usually have a script, and it's not like word for word necessarily. Like some of the sentences might be word for word, but there is like a strong outline of like the different beats that I want to hit, and because I don't want to miss information, especially if I'm doing like a talking head video, it's because I'm relaying information and I want to make sure that I don't miss anything. And I found that having that script, or at least like that really strong outline with the beats, was super helpful when I gave it to the editor, because like the editor would know like what was in the outline and what I initially wanted to be included. Cause like sometimes, you go off tangent, or like you go onto these tangents, or like you repeat yourself, like if you're talking, but like having the outline is good, because then the editor will be able to see like, oh, these are the points that she wanted to hit originally, right? So she talked about this one thing a little bit too much, or like she didn't really get the wording right on this, but on this take she did, so this is the take I'm going to keep, right? So it's not like this back and forth of like, well, what do you want me to do? Or like, I don't have to give notes. I literally just like give the editor the raw footage and the script, and those are the notes, right? They have a reference there.
Audrey, I want to ask you as an editor, like, how do you feel? Like, well, you can confirm. Like, how do you feel about that? Like, as an editor,
it's interesting because I literally just worked. Like, I have a very strong comparison that goes into this. Like, there's one client that I work for who I'll do like a rough cut, and then he writes a script based off of what's there, and then it's pretty straightforward we're always like tweaking things if something could be better or something, but it's normally pretty straightforward. After that, like after he's written the script, I just kind of edit to, it's not like exact, but the outline is there, and I can make sure that all the main points are in order how he wants, right? And then recently I was editing for someone else who their style is very chaotic. It's not chaotic, it's just that the story is like changing all the time, and it kind of emerges in the edit. So there's a lot of like comedy and kind of random things that are basically impossible to recreate. And that I stopped at like a rough cut, because there's literally no way that I could have gone any farther without probably spending a ton of time on the creators end telling me what to do, because they'd just be changing their mind a lot. Like, it wouldn't even be my fault. It would be like I do something they want me to do, and then it might change like completely.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's hard to do that when you're coordinating with someone else instead of just kind of doing it yourself at like some point. It's just literally faster. So it's definitely like, it's definitely interesting, because it really, really depends on the creator's style and how they like make stuff.
Right. And everybody's got their own process for doing things. And it's really like a matter of it's a matter of style. Like I find that with my editor, like I'll throw a certain type of video at her and she just does it, and like it's done, like I don't even have to do anything. But then like with other videos, it takes a little bit more tweaking and a little bit more back and forth, because it's just not really her thing. Right.
Yeah.
I think just kind of like recognizing that and being able to being able to recognize that and then like put a boundary of like what it is you're capable of doing makes for a really good working relationship and like partnership, right? Collaboration.
Oh, straight up boundaries are like, yeah, I mean, we talk about the importance of that, quite a bit.
I think one of the best things to do with an editor, especially if it's like not a super straightforward video, like if there's story involved, it's good to literally talk to them about the story and like where you want it to go. Like that's something that, because if you don't, you're on the wrong page and the story goes in a different direction, it's not good. You're gonna start over. So I think that's like the main thing.
Do you think that every video needs story? Because I see that narrative kind of being pushed. I don't know how I feel about it.
I think it depends on the type of content. I think anything that has a story makes it more interesting automatically, because we're humans and we like stories. So I don't think like if you're doing an educational video, you don't need a through line and like, with a 3-act structure. But even if you like sprinkle in like stories about your own experiences.
Even in teaching people though, you almost do need a 3-act structure. You present.
I think that if you are a good instructor, you'll have a story.
So like every teachable moment, I think the most powerful device in education is Campbell's Hero's Journey.
So wait, I can show you my planning for my video I'm working on right now. I'm gonna put it far away because I don't want to completely spoil it.
Oh wow!
There's like 3 bumps. It's the camel structure.
Yeah, no, the Campbell's monomyth, the hero's journey, right?
So I've been starting to do that with this video. I haven't done this before in that much in depth, but I'm curious to see if it helps.
Well, what I'm trying to do, because Tony Cashman, the Insightful, has a point in the comments. We'll bring it up later and we'll talk about it later. But here's my thought process, and here's something you may have even seen me evolving in my content. I know that you guys have seen that I always am working on evolving my content, and that even with writing my book, that I've been like looking at, okay, how do I tell a story within each chapter in addition to providing the information to make it accessible or relatable or less academic, or to convey the meaning more. And also you have to remember, I'm not casting myself in the hero of the stories that I tell. I'm casting myself as the mentor. I'm casting myself as the wizard, the teacher, the mentor, the guide, in the way that I teach, I am not, when I storytell, or rather the way that I storytell, I'm not necessarily the protagonist in the stories that I tell. If anything, I'm trying to cast the student as the protagonist in when I storytell, or I'm a mentor or the wise wizard who's telling you a cautionary tale or telling you about a hero and their journey and saying that you too, young man, young woman, you too can be a hero and learn from those who came before. And you remind me of a young so on and so forth. I mean, again, when I try to talk to creators, I tell them, I say, it's like, all right now as a creator, you might feel that's impossible. You might think that you're struggling. You may even feel like you've missed the boat. And the reality is that everything is always saturated. There's always someone doing it better, and it doesn't matter. You think that you're struggling right now. You're putting out all these videos and you're not seeing results and everything like that. There's a creator made 100 videos, got 74 subscribers. That creator was making videos in their parents' dining room because they loved tech and they didn't have a lot of money, and HD video was new at that point. They made their first videos on a webcam, and then they made them on a crappy Samyang camera after that. And that creator kept going and was excited and happy, not disappointed, not discouraged at the fact that their first 100 crappy videos got only like 78 subscribers. And that young man, his name was Marquez Keith Brownlee, who you know today as MKBHD, with over 15 million subscribers, and as the face of tech a decade later. The first 10% of his results were not even 0.1% of the outcome that he would have in life. but he didn't stop, and he didn't let himself get discouraged at 30 videos. Can you imagine if he had gave up at 30 videos? You think you're discouraged because YouTube has requirements now? YouTube kicked him out of the partner program 3 times. How are you getting discouraged about your creator journey when your creator journey isn't anywhere near the dragons that a young Marquez had to slay on a platform that was clunkier, buggier, less profitable, and less supportive than anything you've experienced since day one on YouTube? Everything you've done in your career is magnitudes above the results that Marquez had in his career, and you're getting discouraged. See, that's storytelling. That's like that's the oh, you're worried about being a small creator. That's the story. That's the small creators don't get discouraged because look at how hard it could be. What you're experiencing is nothing compared to what your heroes suffered and struggled through to get less than what you have. You thought you've worked so hard for so little. No, let me tell you what that really looks like. And see, it's not me telling you, oh, back like in my day, I did all the no, I made Marquez the hero of that story by putting my inflection and my interpretation on his experience.
Yeah.
That's how I can teach a creator that consistency matters. Marquez made 1,000 videos, but 1/10 of the beginning of his career didn't even produce 1/10% of his outcome.
Teach by example.
Yeah, don't worry about the first inning. Why are you worried about the first inning? The game has 9 innings. Why are you worried about your score on the first?
Facts.
I mean, but do you guys think that that's like a good example in how I...
Yeah, no, it makes sense. But it also shows like why... What was that guy's question? Like if stories are necessary?
So Tony says...
Stories in general.
Tori says, I hear about story being important, but sometimes that instills the fear that you're trying to structure the videos to value the time of the audience, which while that still matters, you do get to choose. And I get that, and I get where you're coming from with that. But the thing is, I think everything we do has to be for the value of the viewer if we're asking to grow an audience. If we're only asking to express ourselves, then that's not necessarily, we can consider that a little bit, but it may not be the most important thing if we want to express ourselves. But if we want an audience, then every decision we make is for the value of the viewer and creating a good experience for them.
Even before times of YouTube, we aren't necessarily trying to structure videos to value the time of the audience, to quote Tony, so much as trying to package information in a way that will be understood
and actionable
by people, right? Exactly, and actionable. So in Roberto's case, his goal is to be able to educate, right, and to give knowledge and be able to help people. And in Audrey's case, she has a little bit of that as well on the creative side. But there's also the self-fulfillment of being creative and experimenting with her own creativity and diving into the creative process of filmmakers specifically, right? So that isn't necessarily like telling somebody to make a story out of their videos, not necessarily for the audience. Like it's not for them, but it is for us so that what we want to express can be translated. At least I think I worded that.
No, I get it.
I mean, I feel like the old, like not old, the vlogging style, like of people who were just making vlogs about their day that were kind of random and sporadic, and like even those were entertaining to watch, and because you get to see it was kind of, there wasn't really a real like through line all the time.
Right.
Like I'm talking about like the daily vlogging days.
Yeah. I mean, then, what's the point? Like if you think about the origin of stories, right? Like what is the purpose of stories? It's to be able to educate. It's because it's some kind of knowledge that was acquired somewhere, and they carried that over to the next town and were able to share that story with the people who live there, right? Or if it's a bedtime story, right, for their children that they want them to go to sleep, they tell them a story, but again, it's with the intention of education. It's for them to feel great, right? Like either you teach them about the gods or you teach them some kind of moral lesson, right, through the story, and it always comes back to some kind of education, right? Like even if you think about movies of entertainment, right? Like if you think about like superhero movies, like what are you learning? You're learning about justice, you're learning about good and evil, you're learning about bravery, right? Like whatever it is. Like if you're looking at like something as basic as like romantic comedies, like you're learning about human interactions. Yes, like there is that entertainment factor of it. Like it could be funny, right? It's a comedy, whatever, it's stupid. But also everything boils down to education and the consumption of knowledge, right?
Yeah.
At least that's the way that I see it. I'm not gonna say that that's, the Bible of storytelling. But speaking of storytelling, since we're kind of like halfway through, I want to make sure that we get to the topic of the night, which is writing in general. Both Roberto and I are working on our books. Roberto's a little bit further along than I am. Roberto, do you want to talk a little bit more about that? Audrey, are you writing a book too?
No.
So
can you imagine?
I think you could. I think you could write an ebook if you want, Audrey.
One day I might make a book about
Wait, didn't we talk
the
about
experience of growing up wanting to be a creator, because I've been like documenting my thoughts.
You should just write that. Don't wait, just write it. Just write how you felt about that, because I mean, it's not like it's your memoir. It's like
I'm a little busy right now drilling.
That's fair.
Drilling holes into children. Never mind.
Clip that out of context.
Yeah.
Clip that out of context.
Yeah,
that was a horrible.
Yeah, that's
one. No, I mean we were talking about writing a book together, like an ebook, the three of us. That's something that we talked about offline before, because we're from not really different generations, but kind of like
overlapping, I would argue.
And so, but we have a lot of like similar experiences and values and like interests, and so I think it's something that's interesting. And could be an interesting case study to like package it all together in like a solid like single book. So that is something that we've
talked about our joint venture, or like potentially doing a joint venture.
It's not gone. Been talking about it in the DMs, but Roberto and I are actually in the process of we've gone beyond the talking stage of our project. Roberto, do you want to talk a little bit about your process of like, did you outline your book? Start typing?
I outlined my book, and then that also allowed me to just go ahead and whatever part I really felt like working on, I could work on.
How many chapters do you have?
Well, I'm adding two chapters to this, but right now there's I believe 18 chapters. I think there's 17 or 18 chapters, and then it's like 18 chapters right now, and I'm planning an appendix, but I'm also adding 2 chapters. But there's also a section of a chapter that I'm removing on the monetization side, just because I don't like, I can't be bothered with what else goes with it, and I might save it for the audiobook audience, because my book is called Create Something Awesome: How to Profit from Your Passion in the Creator Economy. But I might change that to say start, because start is stronger. Start profiting from your passion in the creator economy sounds stronger. In fact, let me start. Let me just do that now. So that's the book. I should have my ISBN number this week. There's a chapter on monetizing where I talk about 6 business models of the creator economy, and then I go like heavily into each of these. And then there's a section on platforms as well, and I get like really deep into that, and so like that's a lot of the meat of the book. But
so are you self-publishing?
Yeah, I actually was gonna bring that up. I'm self-publishing. I decided I'm not gonna. I have a personally imposed deadline of getting it out this summer. I can't wait on a publishing house and all the red tape and the hoops and everything like that. I can move faster on my own. I'll tell you guys later who I think will do the design language for the book as far as designing the look and feel of stuff. Like, I reached out to a friend. We'll see if I can actually mention her here. Like, because again, this is not a guarantee or me saying, oh, she's definitely doing it. But I reached out to a friend, Karen Cavett. I reached out to my friend Karen Cavett, who did stuff for both John and Hank, and did a lot of the redos of John's books, like The Fault in Our Stars and the design language around that. And she does a lot of doodle stuff, and I really like it. So I'm considering having her do all the design language for mine. Minus the hand lettering, because I already have really good hand lettering with the phrase "create something awesome," and it's the hand lettering that's on my merch. So I'm going to make that at least consistent.
Right. Yeah,
so like, because I already own that, so might as well.
Are you going to do it as a like digital only, or are you going to do printing, like print on demand? Like
both. Yep, both. Kindle Direct Publishing makes that easy, and then as I get like hopefully either theoretically I'll have a perfect audio scenario in the basement to record the audiobook myself in the quality that Amazon and Audible want, and have that processed, or I will just go to a place here in Atlanta. I'll go to a studio in Atlanta. In fact, actually, a friend of mine from Instagram, her husband might actually, she's a graphic designer, but her husband is a music composer, and they have a dual studio, and they have multiple business ventures. So I might be able to just use their place and just go through them and pay them, or maybe they'll just let me do it either way. And so I'll just use something like that, and they're local here in Georgia, so I can just do that. But I outlined it, and then I just started writing chapters, and like within about I finished 90% of the book in 90 days.
Are you hiring a copy editor?
My plan is theoretically to, I thought about doing it through Kindle Direct Publishing, but I might hire whoever my friend Pat Flynn hired to do his editorial. Yeah.
Have you looked at Reedsy?
At who?
Reedsy. So there's a website called Reedsy where it's kind of like Fiverr, but it's not Fiverr. Like it's a little bit higher quality. It's ReedsY.com, and you can find all sorts of stuff there, like editors.
Wait, like repeat that.
ReedsY.com, and so you can find. I mean, like it's this is high end. You know, like the best writers will use this kind of website.
Okay.
Professional authors and writers. This is like you can find all sorts of stuff, not just editors. Like
oh yeah, no, they've got everything. They've got editors, they've got designers, they've got marketers, publicists.
But it's just for like writing and publishing and like authors. You know, it's not like web design or anything like that.
No, I get it. Like here's the thing. You know, it's funny you mentioned this. I've thought of making this for video.
Okay.
For like a freelancing platform that's concierge freelancing platform where it's only video services only.
Video editors, like audio, like
video, audio, color grading, motion graphics, animation.
Photographers.
Possibly. So I've thought about because in a weird way I feel like almost even that could be spun off to its own thing. But
yeah. No, I think that's a good idea.
I've always wanted to own a platform.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Well, if you ever get into that, I'd probably be down.
Yeah.
To be part of that.
Maybe it's another joint venture for the crew.
Yeah. Outside of our vineyard.
Is that still happening? Is that have we figured out what we're gonna name our wine? Have we figured out what we name our wine?
Well, Roberto, Romina.
I'm really kind of ruining it with the no R name. Otherwise, we could just have it start with R.
No, because the thing is, actually, I have a plan for that. So it's like we can technically name it Rare. We can technically just name it Rare.
Okay.
Like we can figure out some variation.
What if we put the vineyard on an island?
That too much complications with the shipping and with the weather conditions, and too much susceptibility to the crops being damaged.
Yeah, that would be some really expensive wine, I feel like.
It'd be too problematic for us to because again, we can't control the.
Jake. Jake of all trades in the chat says, if you guys need grapes, I sell by the ton.
Oh, he has a vineyard already.
But he's a competitor, though.
No, we could white label. We can white label. We can use Jake's vineyard, and we could white label.
You don't want him to hear.
I see.
Keoxen wants to know, why is there a baby in the background?
That's my roommate. She's trolling. I surprised her with her earlier. It was great.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Jake is spilling the tea in the chat. All right. Cool. Audrey, do you have any questions? I feel like I've just been grilling Roberto.
Are you going to go on a book tour?
Yeah,
well, we still have. I mean, there's things where it's like we might not be allowed to because of like the illness. Like we might but however,
the illness.
Yeah. However, what I'd like to do is if I get this out, I want to do kind of like a book signing and set up a table at Vid Summit for sure. I would, in theory, if VidCon happens, I would do something at VidCon. I'd do something at VidCon if VidCon happens, especially if VidCon happens and I get to do a talk again, because we've talked about that before. And I've talked to Jim Lauderback. I just have to reach out to Jim and I can set it up. If I have a book and I do a talk, I would give out books at my talk. I would give out, I don't know if I could give one to every single attendee, but I would try, and I would actually consider everyone that I can't give a physical copy to, because that's a lot of copies to have VidCon buy or ship or do whatever. But I would try to get as many copies for that as I could and sign people, but I would give some away to the crowd. But what I would do is I would consider giving everyone who attends my session a voucher or a coupon to get my book if they want one. That attends my session at VidCon, I would have them do a thing, and we'll get them a code, and they can get a download of my of the ebook of my book. And so we would do that for them. Because obviously I want to make money on the book and I want to break even on the book, but I also want creators to have it. So if I'm at an event and there's people who are just straight up in a position where they say I can't afford it, well, an ebook doesn't necessarily cost me anything. If
you just get it in people's hands.
Huh?
You just need to get it in people's hands.
Well, the thing is, what I'll do is everybody that we would give one for free, I would insist that it's if you're getting a free copy of the book, then you have to write a review for me of the book. You have to read it. You have to promise me you'll read it. You have to promise me that you'll do something with what you gain from the book. And you have to promise me that you'll write an honest review.
Yeah.
That's all I ask. If I'm going to,
I'm kidding. I said, and it must be positive, or else I revoke all
I didn't
my
say
knowledge.
that. I said an honest review, whatever it is.
Yeah, he didn't say that, but he was holding a knife under the table.
Yeah.
Right.
But I want I would want because it would probably just end up being one because they got something for free. So there's they're feeling good already. I know that, and it's it's fine. Yeah. But the thing is, I want them to write an honest, and there'll be enough reviews from people to make their own decision about whatever. And some people just writing bad reviews if they see anything have too many 5-star reviews or whatever. They just feel or But what I did want to say is the flaw that I saw in all the books that are about YouTube specifically, and why I wanted to go when I wanted to talk about creators in the creator economy and not force you into the identity of being a YouTuber. How do I what? Because even in the book, I talk about the idea that when I talk about platforms and I talk about content and creating awesome content and production and all this stuff, I have sections on podcasting, live streaming, recorded videos, photography, and writing, because those are forms of you being a creator. It's not about just, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok. I do have stuff about individual platforms, but it's the same thing. I broke down, different ways to make money as a creator: royalties from ads, affiliate, e-commerce, brand deals, memberships. The part of monetization I want to strike from the record, just because I don't want to deal with the nonsense until it's normalized, and until people who are terminally online get out of their heads and stop crying. Buy my Cry More merch when it comes out. Until people who are terminally online stop whining about NFTs like big babies and everything, until they stop being until they stop being big baby rage mad and want to stop trying to create a moral standard on how much electricity someone consumes while also liking photos on Instagram of RGB setups like freaking hypocrites, until they stop crying, I'm like fine. I'll save it for another, either an update to the book. I'll save here are the opportunities that exist in things like NFTs and new opportunities and all that, and the crypto and DAOs and things like that, and create and other creator avenues, all the new stuff, all the proto Web3 stuff. I'll save that for my second or third book when it's normalized a little bit, because YouTube just went into NFT. Like, my prediction came true. YouTube just went into NFTs. My prediction, or they announced that they're looking at doing it. My prediction came true. Sorry, everybody. You're not going to talk them out of it. You couldn't even keep the dislike counter, so cry more. And so I'm trying to future-proof my book, by the way. And so I'm trying to talk in specifics while also leaving enough open-ended things for the future to keep my book relevant for as long as possible, minus ebook update revisions and things like that, or writing a second edition. But I also plan to write a second book. I've already outlined the second book. I already have a premise for the third book. The second book really focuses on the creator economy and more on the business side of creativity, and monetizing your messages and monetizing your message, which may be the subtitle. I haven't decided on the full title yet, but and the third book I know will involve Web3 as a bookend to the trilogy, because I know that the third book is called the working title is called No More Starving Artist, because it's going to talk about ownership of IP and ownership of the relationships with our communities. So I already know that this first one is about, hey, create something awesome. This is about getting started. And this is about profiting from your passion. This is about opportunity. And it's about it's introducing you to opportunity, preparing you, and then giving you a few more scraps of courage so that you can actually go out into the world and do something. The second book is about the practical knowledge of being a creative entrepreneur and understanding the business world and the success stories, the pitfalls that could result in failure, and ways that creators sometimes make mistakes or are even exploited, and how to navigate properly the business side of creativity. And so that's what the second book is really about. And then the third book is about us really needing to have ownership and stakes in the things that we're building, ownership of our audience, ownerships of platforms, owned and operated media, building and managing new media company platforms, much more about ownership of IP, copyright and trademark issues. It's also the storytelling of the evolution of creator owned and generated platforms like Nebula, for example. Nebula is a big one, and also things like Floatplane. And then also there's things being done with new creator-owned podcasting networks, startup culture, and creators owning the creator economy startups and that ecosystem, and it not belonging to. You remember that when this other stuff started, you noticed that the YouTube MCN models, that was traditional media owning everything, not creators, because we weren't established yet. The next generation of creator economy businesses and even creator economy platforms will be by creators for creators. And that's what my third book is really about, is by creators for creators.
Is this this is exciting, Roberto. I'm glad that you buckled down and are doing that. Is this your first book that you'll be
it's my first for real I've done ebooks before, obviously. I'm not selling ebooks, but I mean download my free ebook type, you know what I'm saying? And I published an art book when I was younger, but it's this is my first book. This is my first real book.
200 pages kind of thing.
This is that meaty tome type of, this is my 4-hour work week. This is my crush it. This is my this is mine.
No,
this is actually this is the best analogy is this is my 4-hour work week. This is my 4-hour work week. This is my miracle morning. This is my crushing it.
Right. Yeah, that's cool. I'm taking a slightly different route where I'm going to try get it traditionally published first. I'm not really quite in a hurry as you are. And
I should have written this book 2 years ago, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I started writing this book in 2016, 2017 was when I started writing the book. But I stopped writing it for like 2.5 years. I only started writing it again
What's the focus of this book?
Is to help people to stop talking and start.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm sure that you've run into many people like that who talk about the stuff that they want to do.
Almost everyone I grew up with.
But they never actually do anything.
Yeah. Almost everyone I grew up with, yeah.
And so I'm dissecting that mindset. Why does that happen? And breaking down the process of starting, right? Because like I don't have that problem. It's for me, it's like, right now
it's doing too many things. It's doing too much.
Exactly. And it's just like, right now you're just like, oh yeah, I want to start this platform for video. And I'm just like, yeah, let's do it. Like, I'm like, I want to jump in. Right. Because it's just like, to me, I'm not thinking about kind of like the outcome of stuff necessarily as much as just like the process of like starting and jumping in and doing stuff. Right.
That's how this podcast happened.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but I mean, it's surprising how many people are not like that and how many people don't think like that, and just have so much trouble, even like with something as simple as starting a YouTube channel, right? Where like for you and me, where it's just like, when somebody's asking us like, oh, I want to start YouTube, like, where do I start? And it's like, open up an account on Google, get your camera, get your phone, whatever you got, and make a video. Like,
I started a music label last year. And that's like, I still haven't fully told that story even on my channel, that last year I started a music label.
It's not like you studied like, video, like music production, like you didn't go to school as a producer.
No.
Like,
and by the way, like, and I didn't even make make the music myself, even though I could have went that route, because what I did, I played around with that in high school and college, but I was like, no, I'm doing too many things. Ghost producers it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're improving on it. And you have your team.
Zenbuster Music has put out a video almost every single day for the last 25 days. It's put out a video every day for the last 25 days since January, like almost every day, like, because pretty close. We went daily January 7th. Mm-hmm. The plan is to have scheduled uploads all the way through February 8th. And then I might just keep going, because we now have over 50 unique tracks. We've created several mixtapes and mixes. I have custom animation being commissioned now almost every month. I'm going to be paying for a new animated loop commission almost every month now until I have the amount that I want, because I only want like a couple of them. I only need a couple of them. There's specific things that I want, and they can be modified. Like I want my lo-fi girl doing like a couple of different study like poses, but then I also want a like walking in scenery type pose as well. And then I want like a different like resting or restful or sleeping type one or something like that. Yeah. And then I also want some kind of like cutesy playing video games in an endless loop type scenario.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
Yeah. So like I'm commissioning these different.
But you're working. And
yeah, like, but it's great. I got to learn more. I got to commission and work with more types of artists and musicians and audio engineer people and even designers.
Types of people. Yeah.
I learned about 24-hour live streams and how to set up a 24-hour live streaming server. That was a big deal.
It's exciting, I mean, like if you hadn't started that, then you wouldn't know, right?
There's so many more things I know about YouTube, music, copyright, licensing, working with different varieties of types of freelancers.
Influence other work as well, like with the way that you work and like the systems that you've improved, like other systems, right, for your other work and
like the audio, or even like in these live streams now, the live
even if you don't do it consciously, it's like
like playing that background music right now, like
process. Yeah, exactly. You're our elevator elevator jams.
DJ Berto. Yeah. Like
Audrey, what do you think about all of this writing and writing?
No, I think it's awesome. It's definitely something I want to do one day, so it's interesting to watch.
with some of this process with the writing stuff, the interesting thing has been preparing for the launch and doing things like the ISBN, looking at the cover art, like looking into getting finalized on the editor, getting like all my ducks in a row, picking a launch date, knowing that I can change it, all these different things.
I had to do all of that for my first book, and it's kind of, I mean, it's a fun process, but also it's like there's so much that you have to do. And but I will say that like having that book opened up so many opportunities for me. Like publishing that book was just so it was life-changing, like for me. Especially because I published it before I was 18, and that was like I became the person that I am because that book was published, right?
Wow.
And it allowed me to have speaking opportunities as a kid and put myself out there, and then also like really learn about like failure, being vulnerable in a public position, like exposing myself and who I am and like how I think, and for anybody to read and to see, right? Which is kind of like a huge deal for someone that's still kind of brain is still developing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't regret it. I definitely feel like if I were to publish that same book now, it would be totally different. But the reality still stands that like it is what it is, and the way that it was put out there helped me to develop like into the person that I am and the artist that I am. And it's not perfect and it's not what I like it to be, but it's but it provided a stepping stone, right?
Wait, Romina, when do you think, or what's your like goal for releasing your next one?
So my goal last year was to have the outline finished, which I did that. And then I started working on actually writing and like fleshing things out. And so my goal is to have a lot of that written. So what I'm going to, when you're pitching a nonfiction book for publishers, you have to have at least 3 chapters. Like the first 3 chapters have to be written. And then you have to have a book proposal. So essentially, like when you're writing a nonfiction book, they really just want to see the marketability of the book. They don't really care too much about like the artistic style of it as much. So they don't want it to be already written, right? They want like something that's like, hey, these are other books, like, you know, this is a 4-hour work week. This is how much money it made. This is like, you know, what became of it, like licensing and this and that, right? Like that sort of thing.
They want the concept.
Right. They want the concept of it. And so you have to like prepare this whole book proposal and all this stuff in order to do that. So once I have the 3 chapters written, then I'll start that process, which I have some of it done. But like, it's not worth it to really polish the book proposal if I don't have the 3 chapters, because they want the 3 chapters as part of it. It's like this Bible that you have to.
Yeah. This whole thing is what I believe in the industry is called a treatment, is what you're presenting.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for like the book, it's a book proposal, like for nonfiction books, like they want the book proposal and then they want like the 3 chapters, right? But then what I'm going to do is I'll continue writing, because if like, you know, the traditional publishing thing doesn't work out, I'll just self-publish it myself.
Yep.
So I'm not going to stop writing like when I get to the 3 chapters, but the goal first is to get to the 3 chapters to be able to pitch and see if I can hook someone.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons I ended up going self-publishing, there's so many advantages to going traditional publish, and like I don't need to keep all the money because I'm like doing well and all those things. Yeah, I'm going self-published partly because I want to understand and taste the process of self-publishing. I have the confidence that I have a community that will buy at least 1,000 or more of this book, so that's like a win by itself. Is if you get 1,000 customers, you won. That's it. Right. And so I have 1,000 true fans out there. I know I'll sell 1,000 copies of this book in the first year for sure. Right. My goal would be I'd hope to sell 5,000 to 10,000 copies, and people will really come through for me, especially if I'm going to literally like every other video, buy my book. But like the thing that I'm going to call in every favor, right, to move this book. but because this is my child now. But the thing with me is I'm self-publishing to set the example to my audience of I will just not even bother with the gatekeepers. I will just use the platforms that we all can play in, because I'm like, this is literally a process that I went through. I can tell you what I did and how to do it, because now I will have, by going through this process, I will have domain knowledge of what to do and how to do it and how to do it properly. And you will know that I know what I'm talking about. And it will be one more thing that I have expertise in to say, yes, I'm a self-published author. And yes, I did get into Amazon bestseller, because that one's not hard when you have an audience already. And yes, I know how to do this and this and this. And then if I do become truly, truly bestseller on New York Times or Wall Street Journal, then it's like, oh, then I really, really know what I'm talking about. But even if I don't, if I sell 1,000 copies of my book, then it's like, well, if you haven't done that, then yeah, maybe you want to hear from me about how to do something similar to that if you've never done it, or if you're sold only 100 or whatever. And yes, it will be because I built an audience, but that's also the point. The point is, yes, everything is easier if you build an audience. Why not build an audience? I've always hated that cop out of, oh, of course, because you have an audience. I'm like, yeah, and how you think I got one, jackhole? I built it.
Well, it's not just that, Roberto, but also like if you were to release like, let's say like a book of poems that might not sell like as much for your audience, like, you know, like depends, but like
what would sell is 365 days of motivational quotes from me.
Right. I mean, like there's just like specific stuff that's like, okay, yeah, like if he wrote any other book, like maybe it might not sell as many copies as quickly, but like because of like your niche and like your business that you've already built and the audience that you have, they're already going to be geared towards something, right? So you're also being strategic about it and you're being smart about it, right? Which a lot of people might not think about, because they might have an audience, but then they're like, oh, I want to like, you know, sell them like this thing, right? And it's like, well, your audience doesn't care about that thing, like, so you can't be upset if like you don't sell the number of copies that you want to sell, you know, like, because that's just how it is, you know, the demand wasn't there, like you're giving them something that they didn't ask for, right? But I think, you know, so it's not just about having the audience, but it's also how to use them well, right? How to provide for them properly.
Yeah. And you know, you're exactly right. And like also there's going to be with my book, one of the things is I'm kind of trying to also create an ecosystem around my book, because the book in and of itself will also drive more people to the Discord to discuss the book and the things in the book. So then I'll have the Discord community stronger and larger and bigger than any. That will also supercharge even things with my channel. That'll bring back oldies who maybe haven't been watching as much, and there'll be all these other benefits. Grow my email list for sure. I'm guaranteed that there will be people who decide to do coaching because of it, or product sales, or come to an event, or specifically come to an event. There's all these other things that it does for me, and it also increases my public speaking and my networking off of that. And it's a legacy thing too. And it means I always will have in perpetuity the fact that I wrote a book. It makes me also an outlier. It makes me one of the less than 1% of humans who ever wrote and published a book. Like, and I'm one of the only humans that's like sat there and committed, like, you know, and said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and just write 60,000 words straight around an idea. There's very few people in the history of existence who've done that. And so I'm also committing to doing this about every 18 to 24 months for the rest of my life, probably. But if nothing else, I'll write these three. If nothing else, I'll write these three. And then we'll see what happens. I have ideas for other books that are more standalone solo books. Like I know, like, you know, no one's really written a book about creator brand deals, and I could write the book. So I have a plan for that book. Like I've got an outline for that. That's not like part of this trilogy, but it is part of like the Roberto Blake universe. So
do you have a list of advanced readers that you're going to contact for
well, obviously all of you guys, but I definitely know that I'm going to reach out to friends in the YouTube community, people like Justine, Marquez, Casey. I will have to have some robot automation do an audio version for Gary, because he doesn't like to read, physically read, to get a phrase, like to get something from him, like looking at that. Obviously, friends whose books I promoted, Pat, Amy, Chris Ducker, Chris Doe, people like that. Probably look at obviously my friend Ian Corzine, Mitch, Mitch Jackson. Look at also definitely sending something to other creators that I really like a lot. People like Omni. Who else could I like? You know, I have a Dream 100 list of. I have a Dream 100 list of influencers that I'm sending stuff to. Spanky, Tosh, like all kinds of like people, even from the TikTok community and everything. Jordan, there's like, there will be a Dream 100 list of like advanced readers in the community that I'll be sending my stuff out to. So
that's awesome.
I might literally even on my wall. Like, yeah, I'll here's the thing. I'm gonna also probably start to put together because I already have technically I have the merchandise already. Because I also have merchandise already technically because it's already in line with my brand. Like I might put together a couple of like care packages and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's the way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a treasure chest.
About that, like maybe pick like 10 or 20. You know, like pick a smaller number.
Yeah, no, obviously a smaller number. Yeah.
Make it like really special.
Yeah,
but then also have like an invite date, right? Like this is the date, like save the date, right? Because this is the date that the book's going to come out because you want them to
the hopeful plan is June 21st, my birthday. That's the hopeful plan. I don't know if it'll happen.
Yeah. Because you want them to know when it's coming out so they can, if they're going to talk about it publicly, get it closer to the date.
Yeah.
Doesn't that mean you need to have like physical copies ready by then? That sounds complicated.
Not on a print on demand side, no.
Yeah, because it's like merch. It's print on demand, like the way that Amazon works. Like they.
Not to mention, I can send advance ebook copies, like, PDFs to anybody.
When you order a self-published book on Amazon, they order a copy to get printed. Just and send that to you. Yeah.
Do you like? What do you think? "Quote unquote," like. No, I'm not gonna go there. Like, well, actually, I will. There's this new thing that a lot of authors are doing where they're doing like their book is NFT and it's redeemable for an actual book or anything.
I was going to ask you if you were going to.
And I'm like, I'm not going to go. I'm like, it's too complicated to do fast enough. It's too complicated to do too fast.
I swear, like 25 minutes ago, I was going to ask you. Like,
third book, because by then it's third book. It's by then it's like third book. It's by then and because it's normalized by then, the platforms would have done it. The corporations would have finally forced everybody, and then everybody can cry more. And then everybody can cry more and everything like that. And I'm gonna be like, it's like no
book, cry more.
No, it's well, maybe but like here's the thing. It's like you realize that almost nobody would probably meet the muster of my ethical standards. Almost nobody would meet my ethical standards. I'd have to crucify all of them. So like I'd have to be burning people at the stake on a constant basis. I would have to be smiting. I would have to be fire and brimstone. I would have to be a crusader. I'd have to be a Templar. Okay. And there wouldn't be enough funeral pyres. There wouldn't be enough wood for the burnings if I had to be a Templar about what my standards are. So there's no point in purity because it's like, if we play that game, you don't want none. No one will meet my standards because like, it's really ridiculous, which is why I don't graft my standards onto anybody but myself. Like, and even I don't meet them.
Standards?
Huh?
Does Audrey meet your standards?
I don't think there's a human being that can like on a long enough timeline that will not fail.
Me? Why did you ask me?
No, I'm saying I don't know that there's anybody that could go for years and not fail to meet like
baby in her room.
You see what I'm saying? I'm saying that like you can move the goalpost so ridiculously that it's impossible for anybody to go an hour of the day without being a sinner by your standards. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. So there's no point. Like just leave people alone, be lawful good. Don't set out to be malicious and hurt people. And that's all you have to do. All you have to do is not set out to maliciously hurt people. And that's it. And you'll be fine. And that's enough. Like, I don't need to know how much electricity someone's using to decide they're a good person. I don't need to know what people do or don't buy to decide that they're a good person. I do not need empirical evidence that you're a good person. I can just decide not to assume the worst about you until you do something to me or until you're a headline or until you're in jail. And you know what? That's probably good enough because it's been good enough for a very long time for the majority of people.
Those are some extremes, Roberto. The shrug.
It's like, look, if you're not actively maliciously hurting me or people I know, and you're not in jail, there's no reason for me to not assume that you're probably not the most terrible person in the world, or that you're inherently evil, or some, like, I could just assume, I could just not assume the worst. I could just not assume the worst because I know at a minimum you're lawful good, and that means that there's a very small chance that you're going to do something that actually affects me in a negative way.
Guys, I don't know if you just noticed, but I just noticed that we're all wearing red. Ish.
Oh. Yeah.
We got like that blood stain.
Yo.
We got that. Like, yeah, no.
Oh God,
guys,
what is going on today?
We've been going for an hour and 15 minutes.
I mean, I think we can. If you got, unless y'all got anything, I think we can wrap it. We can start.
Audrey, you are just dancing over there. I want to know if you got any last words, because Roberto and I have been popping off for 25 minutes.
No, this has been awesome. I mean, I'm not writing a book, so I don't know.
Yeah, but
I think it's interesting though. I don't know. I'm learning a lot. It's a lot more I mean, I knew it was complicated, but it sounded complicated.
It's only complicated if you want it to be.
My dad wrote a book.
Oh yeah, look at that.
I did not know that.
Roberto, you see that, Roberto? She waits until like after the 1 hour mark to like bring this up. Construction, the perfect.
I literally read this before bed book to help me go to sleep.
Okay, is it a fiction or non-fiction book?
It's about construction. So
it's literally about construction.
Yes, it's like this could be a textbook in school.
So it's a non-fiction book. Okay, wait. Can you show it again? Is it available on Amazon?
Are we doing promo right now? I don't think it's really the right target audience.
Well, you don't know. There's like people in here who have like farms and stuff.
It's not. It's more like construction litigation, like how to. There's if my dad is watching, there's like good nuggets every once in a while that can be applied to more general stuff, which is.
I want to.
Okay. It's about like,
Audrey, I want to interview your dad now. Did he self-publish? Did he get someone to publish?
I have no idea.
This book, like, I have so many questions right now.
So many questions.
To be fair, he said I could. He wrote in here that I should use it if I need to fall asleep. So I'm just
it's it's like things like that are good for like following.
Is this a publishing company?
Lulu, that's self-publishing. Yeah, Lulu is that's old school. That's old school self-publishing. That was good. I'm hoping that my books like become referenced for, and I think they will, for the creator economy, for like, because I'm actually trying to get ahead of the colleges. Yeah, I'm trying to actually get ahead of the colleges. I'm trying to, with everything I'm actually literally, I've been dissecting. I mean, even for, I'm not announcing anything. I'm not selling anything yet, but like, I plan to next year do like, kind of like what Ali Abdaal is doing, do a cohort once or twice a year in person, or like Casey just did, in person, virtual, live education in person, but in a concentrated curriculum type situation where we meet twice during a certain period, just like in school, but virtually. Yeah. And like, I'm like, because they're charging kids for Zoom calls during this whole pandemic. And like, I'm like, no, and it's not even good Zoom calls. This StreamYard call has been better. Like, I'm like, all right, we can do better. And and the thing is, they haven't co-opted the creator economy yet. They're not teaching people how to get a career in this. I can do it myself, and I can build structure.
Yeah, you got to contact like contact some of the best schools in the US, like high schools, right? Contact like 50 of them, and then like find out if they have like media clubs, right?
I'm planning to do speaking at the schools when like the pandemic stuff is like over officially or whatever. If you
find like the clubs like in these schools, you can actually contact them, send them the book, and like you can.
I agree, and I plan to donate a lot of the books. I'm actually going to ask everyone in my audience that can afford that buys one to buy a second copy and donate it to someone who can't afford it, like whether it's a school, a book, or
library.
Something like that, a lending library, anything like that. Donate as many of the books as possible.
By the way, it's super easy to get your book in the library. You just have to buy a bunch of copies. I did that with my book. I donated a bunch of copies here to like the library here. I took like 15 copies. I was just like, hey, do you guys mind? Can I just like drop these off? And they're like, no.
I'm planning theoretically at some point to like make a video where it's like I donate a bunch of copies to like my old school.
I mean, as long as you just take it to like one branch, like they'll just like redistribute it to the
I'm planning a Mr. Beast style type video where it's like I took I gave like 100 copies of my book to my old high school or something like that. Or
I mean, that's
actually no, it'd be more like David Dobrik surprising my high school teacher with my book, with my best-selling book. That's it. Surprising my high school teacher with my best-selling book. Or something like that, figure it out. But you get the premise. You get the whole like, oh, I went back to high school. It's like, or like a Mr. Beast style. I went back to high school for a day. Maybe I get them to let me teach for a day or something like that, or be principal for a day. Like, I don't know.
Oh, that's funny.
That'd be funny. Like, right? Yeah. It's like, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
So like the thing I will say though is I feel like I can make an 8-week curriculum, because again, the 9 weeks curriculum for a college course, the first week is this getting to know you crap or getting to know the professor crap. Screw that. You guys know who I am. Let's go. Like, so 8 weeks and it's training, and I'll just charge I'm just going to charge what a college course charges. Right. Yeah. And like, no one can complain or go, scam or nothing. Like, I'm like, no, I'm literally charging what a college charges. Difference between me is there's nobody teaching the creator economy, and none of the professors that'll teach at a college are qualified to teach it, because when did they get 100,000 followers or 10,000 followers in any platform? And when did they make X amount of money at it? Right. I did. We know it. I can do that. And I'm a creator, and I'm in this every day. You learn from a college, you learn from somebody who did it 10, 15 years ago. I'm doing it today. I can teach that for 8 weeks. I've made 1,000 plus videos. I've made 1,500 videos on my main YouTube channel. I've done almost 100 episodes of this podcast, almost 60 episodes of my podcast, and then been a guest on podcast over 500 times already. I have the credentials. It's not debatable. I have the experience. It's not debatable. There's not going to be a professor yet because like they would have had to grow up with it and then still decide to go and teach college and go to like be a teacher. That's like very unlikely to happen.
Right.
There's not going to be for a very long time a teacher that can teach the creator economy that's going to be an academic accredited professor. It's not going to be realistic for at least 15 years, because they would have had to have grown up with this. And that's not we're not there yet. And if they grew up with this, then why do they do that? Unless their lifelong dream is to be a teacher, they won't. So it's unlikely. So I'm like, so that's the market. The market is those of us doing it are the only ones who are qualified to teach it. And even somebody that's an academic, they have not done it, they have not lived it, and they have not made money off of it, or they would not be an academic. So I can write the book, and I can do the teaching and training myself, and I think I'm justified in making a do-it-yourself course to buy that actually works. So I'll just charge what the colleges are charging, because then you're making a one-to-one decision of, is it worth it for me to go to an accredited school that doesn't respect this, doesn't know, the teachers don't know it, and they're not doing it, and they haven't lived it. What is their actual credential to give me the outcome that I want? Or do I just go to someone who has the experience and is the results right here? There's no level of transparency of results that you can go to academia for comparable to what you can go to a creator for. Because we live our resume is our existence at this point. So there's, you know what I'm saying? It's like you can see our body of work. There's no, it cannot be faked. It's so what I'm saying is, I think it's not to put down teachers at all. Quite the opposite. They're constrained in a way that we're not. They're constrained by the politics of their institutions in a way that we're not. So there's a difference. And so
it's just because it's an emerging topic, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Developing, and so because of that, the people who are most qualified to teach are still learning in a sense.
Exactly so.
Yeah. So
but that's also the best because
when we teach subjects, the subjects that we currently teach in school are subjects that have been around for such a long time that it's generational knowledge, right?
Exactly so. And so this is new, and there's domain experts in this. And the other thing is we have the best adaptability to teach it in a way where we're teaching you that, yes, it will change. Do not get comfortable. Because like everyone else's thing that they teach is it's institutionalized. So the change is slow and it's regulated. Ours is not. So we have to teach adaptability as a like feature rather than a bug. You know, change is a feature of what we do. It's not a bug. In every other institution, change is a bug and not a feature, so to speak, right? It's not a desirable thing. If you're an institution, change is not a desirable thing. It's a problem.
Yeah.
So like in ours, it's an opportunity. And that's a big difference. It's huge. And so I don't think they're even structurally prepared to teach about this, because this is the antithesis of everything they are anyway.
Right.
This is the antithesis of the institutions anyway. So it being taught in an institutional way, they're welcome to try. It's just that from an ethos standpoint, it's literally opposed. It's like, so it'd be like Superman giving a lecture on synthesizing kryptonite. It'd be like Superman giving a lecture on here. All right, class, today I'm going to teach you how to make kryptonite. Like, Superman, why would you do that? Like, it's like it's terrible. Like, why would you do that? Like, so yeah,
he's gone off the rocker.
Yeah.
Anyway, shall we wrap this up?
Yeah, we can close it out. Thank you for listening to the No Summary Required podcast, a podcast where we talk about nothing and plot world domination. Please join us next Thursday for another exciting topic. We have no idea what it'll be just yet. And I do believe that will be episode 99 of the podcast as we count down to our special 100 celebration. This has been your trio of hosts, starting with Audrey, sus as hell Ember, Romina with the good hair, and of course your dark lord of the internets with all the RGBs, Roberto Blake. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you next week. Nah.